Hey everyone, welcome back to I Dream of Indie. Ole Gamer Joe here today with another review. We're looking at Infliction Extended Cut on the Nintendo Switch, a first-person horror puzzle adventure game that is developed by Caustic Reality and published by Blowfish Studios. This is a game that was previously released on Steam PC, but it is also now available on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. At one point or another, this game was also on Kickstarter, so some fan funding was involved with this project, and it is mainly made by a single developer too, which I thought was pretty impressive for what the game is. You'll start the game out playing as lead character Gary Prout in this game, who gets a call from his wife who is missing her plane ticket. She calls and nicely asks him if he can look around the house a bit to try to find the missing ticket. You'll quickly discover, however, that not everything is as it seems at home, and some strange happenings begin to occur. And without giving too much of the story away, it is half of the fun of Infliction. You do get sucked into a nightmare scenario involving your home, and you're going to rather quickly begin to learn more and more about this character and why he's in this situation, whether it be through memos or pictures that are scattered across the home, or by the home itself playing tricks on your main character. Gameplay will take place from the first-person perspective, which I think works well and helps to ratchet up the fear in this title, and mostly involves you poking and prodding around this house, finding certain items in order to trigger the next story event. There's really not much combat to worry about at all in Infliction Extended Cut. If anything, there are a few stealth sections. Mainly this is a puzzle game at heart, even though the puzzles are pretty rudimentary. You have your standard find the padlock combination in a memo or on a wall here to unlock the area over there, but oftentimes the solution is pretty simple. It just involves you wandering around the house, though you can get a little hung up at times if you don't know that you can move a certain box out of the way in order to advance to an area that you haven't explored yet. All the while you're exploring this home, there is a spirit haunting you that can hunt you down and kill you, though the consequences aren't very severe. There is an element of hiding in this game. You can actually crouch under tables or beds, for example. I rarely found myself needing to utilize that mechanic personally, but perhaps there's more to it, maybe some secrets that I didn't know about involving the ghost, because you can eliminate the spirit at least for a little bit of time using light in this game. Generally, in those situations where I was able to temporarily get rid of the spirit, it just involved me flicking up a light switch while she was approaching me. But generally speaking, this is a game that's all about exploration. Definitely has the PT vibe to it for sure, that's probably pretty obvious, but it also introduces another cool element that's kind of out of the Fatal Frame book, a series that I quite enjoy. If you aren't familiar with Fatal Frame, it's a game all about using your camera in order to defeat spirits. Well, you do get a camera in this game as well, but it's more used to unlock certain hidden areas or to find secret ghosts that are scattered across the world. And that's mainly all you have to worry about in terms of gameplay. There's not a lot of challenge to the game, but the atmosphere of this title is really where it shines. Infliction is definitely a slow and brooding experience that has you picking up a variety of different objects and slowly experiencing this world, so if you're into fast-paced horror, this probably won't be the title for you. It's certainly not the most refined gameplay I've ever experienced, but it does feel a little bit like a haunted house simulator at times, and there are some really good scares that will compel you to continue pushing forward. In terms of graphical presentation, it's the atmosphere that steals the show in Infliction Extended Cut. The graphics are nothing to write home about, and there's plenty of performance issues on the Nintendo Switch version anyways that I ran into. You will experience a few frame rate hiccups along the way if your playthrough is anything like mine. At one point my frame rate completely tanked and was stuck around 10 to 15 frames per second for quite a while. Performance issues aside, a lot of love and care went into the finer details of this title, including the home you explore, tons of objects for you to pick up and look at and rotate around. I even enjoyed just randomly exploring the house and picking up VHSs at one point, checking out all of the different movies that were in this character's collection. This is a game that clearly didn't have a big budget, but made the most of what it had. The home that you'll explore for most of this game does feel lived in, and I can really respect all of the work that went into that. I also quite enjoyed the sound design of this title. There's a lot of creaky and eerie sounds out of nowhere. This is a good one to wear headphones for. Not a ton of music throughout the game, but for the most part it does a really great job of creating atmosphere through its sound. Overall, Infliction Extended Cut is not the prettiest game you'll play on the Nintendo Switch, but it does do a pretty good job of creating a heavy atmosphere, and also features some unique and interesting monsters that you'll come across. Infliction Extended Cut is not a perfect game, it's not a high-budget game, but it does have a lot of care and love that went into it. I was legitimately quite terrified at a few moments throughout this game. Not the scariest game I've ever played, but it did keep me on edge. If you're willing to forgive some of its technical hiccups, Infliction Extended Cut will reward the player with a fun and frightening atmosphere. Lots of cool bonus features, even a New Game Plus has been added to this edition of the game. I actually really enjoyed this horror experience. It is on the short side, clocking in in maybe around 3 to 4 hours tops. But if you are a fan of horror and again willing to overlook some of the game's glaring issues, you'll have a really good time exploring the houses and other areas that Infliction Extended Cut throws your way. So, will you be picking up Infliction Extended Cut on the Nintendo Switch? Let us know in the comments below, and if you have enjoyed our content today, please do consider heading down to the description box below where you can support us a ton of other ways. However you end up supporting us here at I Dream of Indie, we thank you so much for helping us to bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming.